Hey, and welcome to Matt and Jess TV. I am Matt Roast here with Jessica Bun Bun. This is our House of the Dragon Season 2 preview. I'm here, everybody, representing Team Black, the winning side of this upcoming Dance of Dragons that is before us.
No, I am Team Green, and we are going to see Aemond on the throne at some point. I feel like let's go Team Green.
Aemond will be on the throne because he will be busy cleaning it for everybody on Team Black, because
How
Rhaenyra's
dare
going to
you?
get
How
it
dare
back.
you? How dare you?
Dame
No.
Damon's gonna go up there, pretend to be sitting on the throne for a little bit so that he can feel special. Like this, I do like how they're promoting this season. I think it's pretty fun where they are basically just like pick a side. If you don't pick a side, you are lame. You must be Team Green or Team Black.
Absolutely. The slogan this season is all must choose. So, why are you Team Black? Let's start with that.
Okay, I don't think I even need to make this too complicated. I think it's just the simple fact that Rhaenyra spent the entirety of her life, as set up in season one, thinking that she was going to be on the Iron Throne someday. She prepared for this. She knows King's Landing very, very well. Like, she is qualified for it. She even has some experience in training and preparing for battles. And then all of a sudden, she just gets just completely bamboozled, and this gets taken away from her just because of some misunderstanding that ends up happening. And beyond all this, like, she can obviously be very, very mad, understandably, that she lost her right to the throne, but she was replaced with the worst person imaginable, and Aegon, who just sucks in every shape or form. And it's just like, you know what, Rhaenyra, I get it. Like, I fully understand why you're so mad about this. You deserve to be on the throne.
No, Aemon deserves to be on
Okay,
the throne.
but he's
He
not.
he is the person who studied and did everything. He's a fighter. He's everything. He is the person who should be on the throne. But of course, he's not because
Yeah.
Aegon is older. That's fine. Yes, Aegon is terrible, but I am I am Team Green. I find the children of Alicent to be the most interesting and the most compelling. Their stories are, yeah, Aegon's in some terrible things. And yes, Alicent has covered it up. But at the same time, I feel like her children are a little more unmasked. They are who they are. And for the most part, you're getting what you get and you see what you get for the most part. Where on Rhaenyra's side, her sons are masquerading as good guys when they have been spending their whole life tormenting my guy Aemon for so long. I mean, like, Luke took his eye and nothing happened. And then it's like I saw, like, of course, the fandom's so upset that Luke got killed by Aemon by accident. It's like, okay, well, when this accident happened, he lost his eye, nothing happened. Oh, but now that Luke is dead by an accident, now what? Revenge? Stop. You can't have it both ways. There either needs to be revenge for all or revenge for none. But as far as Alicent and why I'm Team Alicent and Team Green, she is someone who has been loyal to the crown her whole life. Her dad is the hand of the king. She grew up being loyal to the crown to the point that she ended up being wife to the king. Like, everything she has done has been for the realm and has been for the crown and has been for the king. Everything. So by the time, and that includes supporting Rhaenyra's claim to the throne.
Yeah.
She did the whole time. She told off her dad about it. She told off anyone that would listen about it. Even a couple hours before she had this miscommunication with her husband, she was still like, you're going to make a very fine queen. Whatever the crown wants, Alicent is doing. She is loyal to the crown. So when they get to this whole scene where she's by herself with her husband's like, yeah, Aegon, this is a prince's promise. She asks him, like, our son? Because everybody's named Aegon. Like, stop naming all your children the same thing. But because this is a wife and a husband talking, of course she's going to assume that it's about their son. Why would he be talking about anybody else? So I completely understand why she's like, okay, I've been dedicated to the crown my whole life. Now the king in his last dying breath is like, Aegon is the prince who was promised, you need to put him on the throne. She's like, and cool, nobody was there except me. So great. Like, no one's going to believe what he said, but he said it. So I completely understand why she's like, well, that's what the king wanted, and I do whatever the king wants. That's been my whole life. So, Team Green, you did the right thing, even though Aegon, he's not a good guy.
Okay. I
Interesting villain, though.
sympathize with Alicent. I like Alicent. I like Olivia Cooke. I'm not going to sit here and defend Rhaenyra's kids, for not sucking, because they do kind of suck. I'm also not going to defend the fact that, like,
they're bullies and they just shroud themselves in, we're a good guy. You're not a good guy. Stop.
I'm also not defending the fact that Rhaenyra's getting it on with their uncle. Like, that's also not great.
Yeah,
I can't throw that out there.
It's very tough for me to be team uncle niece marriage love, but then Aegon's married to his sister, so it's happening everywhere.
It's happening everywhere, and ultimately, though, Rhaenyra, I just feel like she's that person. She's that queen. She should be queen. Team Black. Okay, but of course, let us know in the comments which side you're on, and before we go any further here, be sure to hit that like button. That helps us a lot in the algorithm. We appreciate that, and subscribe, because we have so much more coverage of House of the Dragon coming all season. Previews, theories, reviews, all sorts of great things. We don't want you guys to miss out.
And if you want even more coverage of House of the Dragon, be sure to join our Patreon. We'll have a link for you below. There's going to be lots more discussion going on over there, and it really helps support the channel. Yep. Okay, let's start with, we have not read the source material. Yes. So we don't know much of what's going to be coming up, which is really exciting for us. I mean, we've been doing TV and talking about TV for a very long time, and a lot of things end up getting spoiled for us, but this has not been. So that's pretty cool for us. Yeah. But June 16th is the premiere. It's going to be 8 episodes, and it's one a week, and we are going to have reviews here after each episode, but we're also going to have previews and theories and all kinds of other fun stuff here at the channel. Yeah,
and if you guys are out there being like, why is this 2 episodes shorter than the first season? Like, number one, I get it. I understand. There are all sorts of rumors. I'm not going to try to go down like a huge rumor rabbit hole here, but what they have sort of pseudo-officially said is that in giving them 8 episodes this season, they basically have been able to structure this so that season 3 will start with some particularly big stuff. Some battles that could have happened at the end of this season could be leading into season 3. And technically, season 3 has not been quote unquote confirmed at the time we're recording this, but let's all be honest. Okay. It's happening. This show is going to go however long it needs to in order to get all the source material mapped out. That might be 3 or 4 seasons. It might be more. We have to wait and see.
One thing that's going to be really cool about this season is going to be a lot more expansive than just mostly being at King's Landing. I mean, Game of Thrones was all over the map. You got to go to Winterfell and all these other places. I mean, even in the trailer, it looks like we're at the Wall at some point. It's going to be much more expansive. We are going to see a lot more of the other houses.
Yeah, I'm excited about, because it seems like there's at least one prominent House Stark person who's coming in this season. I'm a big House Stark guy. I'm excited to kind of get a little bit more into that world. And, Starks, if you guys know what's good for you, you will be Team Black, and you will just make sure that you're not involved in any of this other sort of messiness and infighting that's going on over here at Team Green, where everybody just wants what they want, whereas Team Black, it's just like follow in line with Rhaenyra or else.
Right. There's no infighting there at all. We didn't watch Daemon try to choke her out last season.
That didn't happen. No, it's the scene. This is gonna be the whole season, by the way. It's trying to morally justify the most dysfunctional relationships ever on Team Black. But no, season 1 ends in this position where we have this incident in the sky between your guy Aemond and then also Luke, and Luke ends up dying. This is not something that Aemond necessarily intended to have happened, but it still did.
Yeah, that is one thing that I have read online, that in the source material, Aemond did this on purpose and that they made the change for the show. I don't know if that's true or not. That's what people are saying. I haven't read the source material. If that's true, I'm actually glad that they did change it to an accident, because this whole show is based on miscommunication and accidents. Things that are like completely out of people's control and bad communication. All of this fighting is based on miscommunication. Yeah. And I mean, even the fighting between Luke and Aemond has all been mistakes. I mean, it all started with Luke and them, tormenting him with the pig and that he couldn't get a dragon of his own. They were just, bullying him and jumping all over him forever. Like it went on and on and on, even till the night that the king ended up dying when the pig was placed down and, Luke is kneeling him. It's like, I don't want anyone to die, but at the same time, I'm like, I understand why Aemon is as mad as he is and that he's been holding on to it all this time. Alicent tried to get some sort of like revenge to be like, okay, your son took my son's eye. What's going to happen with this? What are the consequences? None. Great, cool. So my son just has to go through life like this and your son gets to continue to needle him. I don't think that that's really that fair, but here we are. And so Aemon's just been like carrying that around with him. I'm not surprised that there was that confrontation where he was like, yeah, I'm going to take your eye now. And they're like, nah, take it outside. Cool, no problem. I got the bigger dragon. And that it was, again, another accident where neither of them could control their dragons and it turned into this. I don't think that Aemon is a villain. I know that some people out there do think that he is. I do not think that he is. I think that he's somebody that has been hit with a lot of circumstances. And again, he's also the second in line, but I think he's the most qualified out of that side of the family to actually be on the throne. No consequences have come for anything that's happened to him. That, it's been allowed that they've been allowed to continue to torment him this whole time. Like, yeah, he's mad. You should be mad. You should be mad, my guy.
Okay, if one of the best things to happen for Aemon in terms of his readiness for the throne is being related to Aegon, who just makes everyone around him immediately look 100% better. Like, this is the thing I will root for when it comes for Aemon. I will be so much more supportive of your guy Aemon if he kills Aegon at some point this season and just takes over the throne. And I mean, that might sound insane, but honestly, I don't think it's the craziest thing ever. If Aegon's just doing a really bad job, don't you want a better ruler?
I don't know. Yes, but watching the trailer, it looks like the brothers, even though they don't see eye to eye on much of anything, it does look like they see eye to eye on the fact that Alicent still has love for their enemy, and that because of that, she wants to keep her family in power, but she doesn't want to do it dirty. She's not here to, take the worst path to make that happen. She still cares about Rhaenyra. They've been friends since they were little kids. Like, this is a really deep relationship with a lot of hurtful stuff that has happened. She was married to her dad, like it's very, very complicated. I understand why Alicent wants to take another path, but we saw in the trailer the two sons sitting there being like, this is not going to go that way. Like, we need to go another way. And it seems like the two of them are on the same page that they can't be nice in something like this.
This is what makes, I will at least say, the Greens fairly interesting in that Alicent, like, I do like Alicent. I understand where Alicent is coming from in a lot of this.
Come to the green team.
That's still not going to happen. Like, let's all be real here. You guys can sit over there in your fancy castle and act like you guys are going to end up winning this, and you'll be surprised when you lose. But see, ultimately, the biggest issue is that Alicent and Rhaenyra have this relationship that makes it very complicated when it comes to the two of them wanting to really do battle. And I think at the end of things, in another world where they didn't have all these family members around them, maybe they would be able to work this out. But because Alicent has, these kids who are really, really gung-ho about doing things this other way, and because Rhaenyra's got, her own terrible kids, and she's got Daemon, who Daemon loves being the war hero. Daemon loves waving that white flag and then going into the stepstones and causing all this sort of carnage. Like, he's going to be very, very much in the we have to act camp. I don't think, even if there's not a lot of it in the trailer, I don't see him acting any other way in this situation.
Yeah, I mean, we saw in the first season that even when Aegon was being put on the throne, Rhaenyra was the only person who was like, wait.
Yeah.
We need to wait. Like, I need to actually get all my ducks in a row and get all the other houses in a row before I just run in there and start, having my dragon burn everyone to death. I have to have a plan.
Yeah.
Where Daemon's not like that. So, I mean, going into this next season with what's happened to Luke, like I can see Damon being like, "Nah, we're not having this. There's going to be revenge. You can't, just kill Luke, even if it was an accident. Nobody cares. They're going to come in." But who is it that they're going to come in to get? Is it going to be my guy? Like, I know that it
Yeah.
was him that happened, but like, is that going to actually make enough of an impact? Like, he's second in line for the throne. He's, as much as I want to see him on the throne, is he going to end up on the throne? I don't know. Aegon's going to have to die. And
Yeah.
that's the person that they need to actually die to be able to put Rhaenyra on the throne. He can't be the king.
Yeah, and it's what makes it really interesting. And I, as a Team Black supporter, here is what I want to see in these upcoming episodes, is that I want to see what Rhaenyra's actual plan is. Because whether I am Corlys, whether I am somebody at House Stark or whatever else, I'm going to be like sitting on my throne wanting to see, the Westeros version of the PowerPoint presentation that is basically, okay, I'm going to go talk to this person. I'm going to get this person's army, this person's resources. You understand why I have this claim to the throne. Like, she really does have to be patient, and she does have to find a way to just surround King's Landing with all these people from all these other different sides. Like, she's got to go back to the Lannisters, and I know she was basically just like, ha ha ha, yeah, I'm not marrying you to that dude from House Lannister in season 1. But it's
Nobody wants to marry Jason.
No, nobody. The Lannisters, goodbye. Like, you have to figure out a way to get all these other people on your side and completely delegitimize this claim that these usurpers in Team Green have sort of thrown out there.
How
And
dare
if
you?
you can do that, you are set up really, really well, because you have an army that will just completely overwhelm them. But, all this like politicking is what makes the Game of Thrones universe so great, because Rhaenyra may come in here with the greatest PowerPoint presentation of all time, and she might have been like, Daemon, you need to stay home. And then Daemon shows up halfway through it, like waving his sword around and, thinking that he's going to be charming enough to get people on his side. Let me just say this. Matt Smith is incredibly charming.
He is.
Daemon, not charming. That's what makes these characters so interesting. They basically have siphoned all of Matt Smithness away from him when he plays this character.
Okay, let's talk about Daemon and Rhaenyra and their relationship, because in the trailer there was this moment where she was like, do you accept me as your queen and ruler? And I mean, they leave it where he's not really saying anything. And I mean, their communication is really poor. I mean, we saw it in season 1. It's not that great. They've, spoken about their characters here and there, where they've said that the communication between them is really bad.
Yeah.
So they left it like that in the trailer. But I mean, of course, Daemon is going to accept her as the queen and ruler, because otherwise, how does he get on the throne? Like, he would have to kill everybody. He's really not going to end up there. And this is the closest he's going to be able to get there. And I do think that in Daemon's way, Daemon loves her.
I agree with that. I think Daemon, he's a complicated guy. He certainly a hothead. He has some pretty disgusting tendencies romantically, but I think at the end of the day, he does care about his brother to a certain extent, and he does care about his family legacy. And I do think that he is going to try to do what he believes is the right thing for this family. I mean, whether or not that's the case, entirely different story. What is just very curious to me is that, Emma Darcy, they've done various interviews for this season, and one of the things that they've sort of said is that, they didn't really spend a lot of time with Matt Smith during filming this season. And it sounds like, maybe the two of them didn't spend a lot of time with Olivia Cooke this season either. And it seems like, okay, everybody is kind of doing their own thing. And maybe that is just that this is going to be a season that has a lot of table setting, especially in these first few episodes. And then it's just going to be like the rest of it.
Well, and that would make sense, because if it's sort of set up the way it was in season 1, then, of course, Rhaenyra and Alicent are not going to be together. They're, against each other right now. And if Daemon's going to go off and do what he's going to do, which I feel like if anyone's going to actually enact some sort of revenge on what happened to Luke, it's going to be Daemon. That Rhaenyra is going to take this as part of her plan, but she's going to have to get time together to get the plan together, where Damon is just going to be mad.
Yeah.
And he's probably going to want revenge on that. So I expect that he won't be around very much. He'll be off doing whatever Damon's going to do.
Yeah. And
Not to my guy Aemon, though.
okay, not
It
that,
was an accident.
okay,
It was an accident.
It's gonna be okay. For this season, it's going to be okay.
It was an accident.
Aemon's not gonna die this season. Aegon is going to die this season. That is my
Well, I could let him go.
Yeah,
He's an interesting, complicated villain, but he's also so horrible.
yeah. We'll make
We agree.
we can make a treaty here where it's like we take out again. You can take out one of the other crummy kids that's over on Rhaenyra's side.
You can have Sir Kristen if you want. Team Green does not want him. I don't think anybody wants him.
Sir Kristen is a man without a team at this point. He is basically a grown-up teenager who has just been constantly in his feelings that he thought he and Rhaenyra were going to be something.
Oh
it didn't
my
happen.
God, he's such a toddler.
Yeah, and he's just throwing a hissy fit all over the place because he didn't get. It's like, dude, you should just be lucky you're even here. You didn't come from some like prestigious house. You're only here because you're good at fighting.
Yeah.
Ultimately, that's what you got. No, Team Black does not want Sir Kristen. Sir Kristen can go row away far, far into the distance.
I think that's something that probably the whole fandom can be on board with. Nobody wants Sir Kristen.
No, nobody wants Sir Kristen. No, I do think that there is going to be a heavy body count just because that's what the Game of Thrones universe here is. And I just don't think Aegon's a decently compelling villain, but he's not the magnetic villain or villain at times that Aemond can be. And I think having Aemond on the throne is much more interesting long term. So
he is, and he's not a villain.
He is a villain in training. He is a villain to me.
He hasn't done anything that Aegon has done. Oh my goodness. All he's been doing is studying and learning to sword fight and getting ready for the throne. And he's been getting picked on.
It is very hard for me to root against Daemon because as somebody else who only has one functioning eye, like I really want to be in this guy's corner, but I can't because he's on the losing side, and it's just sort of I have to accept this. It's sort of like, I'm a Toronto Raptors fan, but the Dallas Mavericks were a team of my youth. And so whenever the Raptors play the Mavericks, sometimes it's hard because I'm just sitting back and being like, I kind of like these people, but it's like, I'm on the Raptors side now. I can't root for these other people in this sort of matchup. And that's where it is with Aemond.
I just think it's hard not to root for him. He's such a compelling character. He's such an interesting guy. He's very quiet and stoic, and he does think things through. I mean, is he going to now that this has happened? I mean, he's in huge crisis, so I don't know, right? He's still a really young guy.
Big picture, though, I am pretty confident that this upcoming season's going to be very good, and I was kind of skeptical on House of the Dragon coming in just because of the way the Game of Thrones ended. It was such a mess. I didn't know if people were even going to come back to the show because they were still going to hold it against like David and Dan and everything they did at the end of Game of Thrones, even though they're not even involved in this show. Okay, so that's what we got heading into House of the Dragon Season 2 on HBO. Like we set up earlier, we're going to have reviews, previews, all sorts of other great stuff coming up. We don't want you guys to miss that. So hit that subscribe button, smash that like button as well. That helps us in the algorithm. We really appreciate that. Also, all sorts of House of the Dragon content is happening on our Patreon.
Yeah.
We've got a link in the description below to check that out. And thank you to our patrons for your support. And we'll see you guys here next time.